Hi, I'm Mark. This is Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Switchbot Starter Pack. I'm also going to say stay tuned to the end of this video, and I'm going to tell you how you could win one of 2 Switchbot devices. Now I want to start this video by being completely transparent with you guys and saying that Switchbot have actually sent me these products for free. This means that I haven't paid for them up front, but I also haven't agreed to leave a positive review, and so what you're going to hear is my honest opinion. It also means I've got a couple I can give away at the end of this video. As a complete aside to that, I did recently turn down working with a completely different company because they said I had to write a positive review, and I said I wasn't prepared to do that. So just to let you guys know that when you watch this channel, you are always getting my honest opinion. Now, if like me, you love smart home stuff, then Switchbot are probably a company who've been on your radar because they've been making some of the most innovative new smart home products around. In particular, you might have seen their new Switchbot curtain adapter, which is currently shipping and was previously on Indiegogo for crowdfunding. If you haven't looked at one yet, then it's certainly worth checking out because it basically turns your dumb curtain rail into a smart one at a fraction of the cost of having to buy completely new curtain rails that are smart. And this leads quite nicely into talking about the philosophy of Switchbot as a whole. Because as you look at their products, you can see their vision is relatively simple. What if you could make your existing products smart rather than having to buy completely new products for your home? And of course, in practice, this means that it costs you less money as a consumer in order to make some of your things at home smart, but also is much better for the environment because you're not throwing existing things away. So let's kick off and talk about the Switchbot Starter Pack. And let's start by talking about what you actually get in the Starter Pack. Firstly, you get the Switchbot Hub Mini. Then you get 2 Switchbot devices which come in a choice of black or white. And throughout this video, I'm going to call them the Switchbot switches just because confusing them with the brand name is going to be really difficult otherwise. In addition to that, you also get a thermometer and hygrometer monitoring device. Each of these comes with pretty minimal packaging, and they simply contain the device itself, some simple setup instructions, and a few basic accessories you might need. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through each of these products individually. I'm going to talk a bit more about Switchbot as a whole and how the app works and the experience. And then at the end, I'll talk about this giveaway. If you want to find out more about one of the products in particular, rather than watching the whole video, I've put some time frames below, but I've also uploaded individual reviews for each of those products, which goes into a tiny bit more depth. That means that this video is probably going to be quite long, so hang on in now or skip to the bit you want using the timestamps below. And let's start by talking about the thermometer and the hygrometer. And I'm starting with this device because there's probably the least to say about it. So this device is small and compact with an LED screen. It's made of white plastic and can be placed on a shelf or comes with a stick-on magnet for wall mounting. This enables you to put it around your house wherever you actually want to monitor the temperature and humidity. It takes 2 AAA batteries and they come with it. And then other than showing the details on the screen itself, it also shares the battery health, and then it can also transmit that data via Bluetooth. Or if you're using the Hub Mini, which of course you'll have from this starter pack, you can relay it to wherever you are in the world and access it on your phone. You can even use voice assistants to find out the temperature and set up particular rules using services such as IFTTT or Siri shortcuts. It connects to your phone using Bluetooth and has the ability to store 36 days worth of data for monitoring. The sensors inside this device are Swiss made, which gives you reliability and accuracy from this device. Now, I've got no other way of measuring the humidity in my home to compare this. However, the temperature does match our thermometer. This monitoring works in without the hub, which means if you just wanted to pick up one of these on its own, you could. It can operate in a whole variety of temperatures as well and ranges from -20 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius, which means you don't just have to put it somewhere around your home, you could use it to monitor your fridge. Likewise, the humidity sensor has a big range as well and operates between 10 and 90 degrees humidity. Setting it up is as simple as downloading the Switchbot app and following the instructions on the screen. On the home screen of the Switchbot app, you can then see the data in real time, or if you click through, you can browse it and view some graphs as well. There's the ability to view it by hour, day, week, month, or year. And of course, when you sync it to your smartphone, whilst the device itself only holds 36 days of data, your phone can hold the rest. If you're using this with the hub that comes included in the pack, then you get some extra features such as IFTTT integration. This means you could do something like switch on a plug when a temperature reaches a certain low, perhaps if you've got an electric heater or something. You can also set up Siri shortcuts for voice integration with your iPhone and other apps, or use Amazon's Alexa. It's worth noting with the latter, however, that it can only tell you the temperature and not the humidity. What I do hope, however, is that this might be updated in the future. But this smart integration that comes with a hub makes this device much more useful other than just for monitoring, because you can use it to control certain things around your home based on the temperature. And really, that's all there is to say about this particular device. All in all, the thermometer and hygrometer do exactly what you need them to do. When you connect them up with the hub, they've also got some nice extras that I've just talked about. And overall, it's a pretty simple device. It just works well. My only real criticism is that there's no backlight on the device for using it at night. However, it's also worth noting that if you're picking up one of these, they do only cost £25. Next, let's talk about the Switchbot Switch, of which you get 2 of these in the pack. Now, these are probably the most innovative product from Switchbot, and they join a huge range of products such as smart plugs and smart light bulbs that aim to make dumb items smart. The thing, however, that really sets a Switchbot apart from the others is that it works with nearly any button or switch. The design of these is pretty simple. They're nice and small with rounded corners, and in the box you get the device itself, 2 accessories if you want to use them with on-off switches, and you get 2 mounts. These spares mean that you can move them around if you want to, and if you need more stick-on pads, you can get them from Amazon for £5. This is particularly useful if you're going to move house at some point. Inside they have a CR2 battery, and Switchbot claim that this will last for 2 years. Now, of course, this is going to depend on usage, and of course I haven't been able to test that. They also come in a choice of black or white, which is particularly good for trying to match it to the appliance you're attaching it to. So, where might you use these? The essential philosophy is that if it can be pressed, then the Switchbot can press it. It works in a really simple but clever way. It has a little arm that comes out when you activate the device. So you could stick it on your printer and the arm would come out and push the button, or you can stick it on your coffee machine and the same thing would happen. Of course, if you've got the thermometer that I talked about just now, you could even set it to come out and press something when the temperature reaches a certain level in your house. These are really quite cool, and they do work every single time. And as I said just now, they come with an accessory for using on-off switches. This means if you've got, say, a light switch you want to make smart, then you can attach this accessory and change the mode of the device in the settings. Getting this set up means a little bit more thinking just to try and work out how it works initially, because the diagrams aren't particularly good. However, I will make a tutorial video for that and post that up on this channel as well. One of the things that did concern me was that because the stickers are quite small, I was concerned that with all the pulling on the switch that it would actually come undone and not work very well. So far, however, 2 weeks later, this concern doesn't seem to have amounted to anything, and it seems to work fine every single time, and it hasn't come unstuck. Once these are set up, they connect to your phone via Bluetooth, and you can just turn them on or off or make them activate just using the Switchbot app. However, they do have integration with the Switchbot Hub Mini, and this is where they become really clever. What this does mean is you can set them up with something like IFTTT to turn on a certain light after, say, 7 PM. You could create your own scenes, and you can also use those things with voice control. In my case, I've attached one of these to our cupboard light under the stairs, and I can just ask Amazon Alexa to activate it when I want to go in the cupboard. This is particularly useful because the switch for the light is on the other side of our room. However, the possibilities with these are pretty much endless, and so you could set several of these up on one device to fully integrate something and use a scene to activate one after another. You might do all sorts of other things like get your coffee machine to turn on at 7 in the morning. There are so many ways you can use these. These are incredibly useful devices for just making anything at home smart. And once again, much like the thermometer device, they only cost £25 each. This is typically less than your average smart light bulb or a smart switch, and this means you could easily update different products around your house quite cheaply. The only downside I found is that it struggled slightly with a more indented button, such as the one on my printer, which does have a slight dip. However, buttons that stick out and normal buttons and light switches it had no problem with at all. I've also seen some pretty crazy things online of people kind of docking their car key in like a wooden block and then attaching one of these to that to activate their car wirelessly and things like that. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but that just gives you an idea of some of the possibilities. And so finally, for this review of the starter pack, let's talk about the Switchbot Hub Mini. Now, this is the last device we're talking about, but I have been talking about it throughout this video because the integration it has with the other Switchbot devices really bring them into their own. The Hub Mini is a small, compact white device, and it's powered by a micro USB cable. In terms of setup, it is just as easy as the others, just with one extra step where you have to put in your home Wi-Fi details. Once it's all set up, the hub has 3 main purposes. Firstly, it makes all the other Switchbot devices work away from home. This means you can check the status of the temperature in your house or turn on a light when you're not there. Secondly, it adds voice control to all of those Switchbot devices, which again is particularly useful if you want to use it with Alexa or Google Assistant or Siri shortcuts or IFTTT. And then thirdly, and perhaps most interestingly, it can replicate any remote control and allow you to operate those devices without the remote through the app or using some of the voice control integration. So let's talk about each of those things. So firstly, using the Hub Mini enables out-of-home mode on all of your Switchbot devices. This means that your switches can be operated anywhere in the world, or you can check for temperature wherever you are. You can even set it to give you notifications when a temperature goes above or below a certain level. This is something that really adds extra to these smart home devices, especially when we're talking about lights or home monitoring. The second feature kind of builds onto this and means that you add voice control to all of these devices. And this kind of works in two ways. Firstly, you can then control any of the Switchbot devices using your voice with Google Assistant or Amazon's Assistant, and then you can also integrate it with things like Siri shortcuts or IFTTT. The latter mean that you can build recipes in IFTTT or Siri shortcuts to do certain things depending on certain conditions. Again, for me, this is an essential when it comes to smart home devices because I control things with my voice 99% of the time rather than using the app on my phone. This means for you guys watching this, depending on how you use voice control around your house, this may or may not be a deal breaker for you. The other side of this integration is all about scenes. So in the app, you set up a scene and you can then operate that scene with your voice. This means you could set a particular remote button press or cluster some switches together or maybe even all of your downstairs lights or something like that. This can be then used with voice control and you can set conditions for different things. For example, to turn a light on or off after a certain time. One thing I've got set up is a way to turn up the volume on my TV. And if you're like me, you never want to turn it up by 1 notch, you want it up by 4. So I've got this scene set up that when I use my voice, it presses the volume up button automatically for me 4 times. Being able to cluster these things together and add multiple commands is particularly useful. And then thirdly, the hub can replicate, as I've just been hinting at, any remote control. This works in a very similar way to products like the Harmony Hub, but at a fraction of the cost because the hub is just £29. And the way this works is pretty simple. You probably know that remote controls work on infrared, the same way your car key will if you've got a wireless car. And these operate on different patterns. It's why your TV remote doesn't set off your DVD player, or if you've got an air conditioning unit, that doesn't set off your TV. And this basically means that when you set a remote up with the Harmony Hub, it learns the controls from this particular remote and the frequencies, and then it can replicate them when you press a particular button in the app. For televisions, it's got some preset brands up, which means it works pretty much straight away, and you don't have to add every single button individually. Although there are some buttons that are missing, and there is a feature to enable you to add them. This means I've been able to add things like the source button and some of the arrows onto the remote for our television. Now, because this works for infrared, it's worth noting that this will only work for devices in the same room as your Hub Mini. Or if you've got a particularly big room, you need to make sure they're in the range of the infrared signal. However, at £29, maybe you're going to pick one up for your bedroom and your living room. What I will say about the smartphone interface in the app is that it isn't the prettiest remote control interface in the world, but it does actually get the job done and works really well every time. Most importantly, the app loads really quickly, and so actually it's much quicker to get things done rather than using things like the Harmony Hub. For me, I've been using this with my Samsung Smart TV and then setting up scenes that I can then control with my voice. And if you're wondering why I wanted to do that rather than using the actual Samsung SmartThings Alexa skill, it's because their skill is so bad it just doesn't work most of the time. What I have found by using Switchbot is that whilst it's a little bit clunky to get the command to work, it does work every single time. And what I mean by that is that any scene you set up has to be preceded by the phrase turn on. So for example, I've got a scene that says turn on, turn up TV. It's slightly clunkier than just saying turn up TV, which you might do with the Samsung thing, but it does work every single time. It's also worth noting with all of these devices that you are limited by Bluetooth and Wi-Fi range. What I mean by this is that if you're using them individually, you need to think about the range. So because they operate via Bluetooth, if you've got your Switchbot switch in your kitchen and you're at the complete opposite end of your house, it might not work. This isn't a fault with the product, but it's all to do with Bluetooth range. Again, this is the same with the hub integration. Because the hub connects to them via Bluetooth and then relays that via Wi-Fi, you need to make sure that your hub can connect via Bluetooth to those devices. So again, if your hub is in your living room and your switch is in your kitchen, then it might not work. This is the sort of time where you might find yourself picking up a couple of hubs just to cover your whole house. And so finally for this review, let's talk about the Switchbot app, because Switchbot could have quite easily made all of these really useful home products, but if the app was awful, then there was no way anyone was ever going to use it or recommend it. Thankfully, the app is actually really good. The app works for Apple and Android, and there's even an optimised iPad version for using it on full screen mode. Of course, this means when Apple release Big Sur for Mac OS in the autumn, it will also work on your Mac laptop. The loading speed of the app is really quick, which means you can easily just fire up the app and head into the remote you want to control or find the device you want to operate. The home screen of the app shows you your devices, and then you can easily dive into their settings a little bit more. Going into the drawer menu lets you do a whole variety of things, but in particular it's where you add scenes and operate scenes. On the right hand side of the home screen of the app there's a plus button for adding new Switchbot products. One nice addition is that they actually even added an Apple Watch app. The first time you use it, you need to make sure the Switchbot app is also open on your phone, but after that you can use your Switchbot app on your wrist. But there is one very slight catch. The only things you can actually control from the Apple Watch are the Switchbot switches. You can't control the remotes and you can't view the temperature. This is hopefully for something that might be improved in the future, but it's probably not something that's going to bother you because the app is the key thing, and the app for the smartphone is actually really good. It does everything you'd expect the app to do, it's intuitive, and it just works. So I've gone through all of the devices that come in the starter pack, I've talked about the app, and this brings me on to the final part of the video where I say, well, what's the verdict on these devices? Switchbot have managed to do what not many manufacturers managed to do, which is to create a great budget option for a smart home that is adaptable and works really well with a great app. If you're thinking about using Switchbot products, then the starter pack is a great way to go because it has the minimum that you're going to need. It's got the hub and it's got the two Switchbots. The thermometer, in my opinion, is neither here nor there or something, but it's a nice extra to have. If I'm completely honest for the purpose of this review, if I just had the Switchbot switch on its own, I think it was a pretty cool product, but I think it'd be limited by some of its features on its own. Adding a hub to it really brings it to life and adds the extra smart home features such as voice integration and out of home control that you really want. My only criticism of the app, as you've picked up, is just with the Apple Watch part of it. And it'd be nice to have some extra functionality, but that's neither here nor there. All in all, these are great, affordable, versatile and really functional products. And as I said at the start of the video, Switchbot have also sent me 2 of the Switchbot switches to give away. So if you want to win one, simply subscribe to my channel, like this video, and then most importantly, comment below and tell me what it is you would add a Switchbot switch to if you were to win one. I'm going to run this giveaway until kind of mid-October, so let's say the 15th of October, and then I'll get in touch with the winner and make sure I can send that prize out. It's also really important to note that because these devices have batteries in them, I need to make sure that they only ship within the UK. So if you're in other countries, I'm really sorry that you can't take part in this competition, but do still tell me below what you'd use it for. So please like this video, subscribe to this channel. If you've got any other questions about these devices, do stick them below. I do genuinely reply to every single comment, and when there's questions, I try and answer those. And I will see you guys again soon.